conversation. The Portfolio Committee on Environment, Forestry and Fisheries resumed with its public hearings on the National Veld and Forest Fires Amendment Bill at the Mogale City Hall in the West Rand. The hearings were also held in Mpumalanga, Northern Cape and the Free State, among other provinces at some point. Let's speak now to the chair of the Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Environment, Faith Muthambi. Thank you so much for your time, Ms. Muthambi, this evening. Let's talk about first these particular hearings. I mean, you've had them in different, provinces, and we've seen some of the concerns that were raised by residents, others welcoming the amendment. Let's talk about the business of today. Did you able to, were you able to finish it, and were you able to also get as many views from community members as possible?
Yes, greetings, Mongit, and to all your viewers at home. Indeed, we managed to do that. The hall was packed full to capacity, and then I've seen democracy in action, because then our people now understand that they are part of the lawmaking process. So the Constitution requires us, when it's Parliament, that when we make laws, we must consult and seek the views of the people. And then indeed the people came in numbers.
Do people understand, those who were in attendance, the significance of this amendment and what it will mean for them?
Definitely, majority of the people that were there, especially they were the ones that are the users of this act, in particular all the Veld fire stakeholders in the community at large. Most of our people are staying in informal settlement as well. That's where they come in numbers. But then some of them, of course, when they come there, they will always raise service delivery related issues. But majority of the people who came there, then they will come and raise this and talk to the act. How can we improve it? And then majority of them are saying it's long overdue. This act should have been signed already into law. Basically, that's what is actually happening.
And what are they raising in terms of some of the issues? Because we saw, for example, in Kwaggafontein, there would be issues there around resources when it comes to extinguishing, Veld fires. And you think about some of them saying that they're raising issues around firefighting training, given the fact that some of them live in informal settlements, and they would like to be able to know how to put out some of these fires and be able to be trained. Others talk about fire trucks that they would like to see in their municipalities. Did you also get the same issues, or were there other issues at play?
Exactly, they're raising that issue to say they need training. Majority of the people, they're saying they are not trained on how to handle fire. They would like to be trained so that they are able to respond. The other issue, of course, is the issue around resources, because normally you find that those firefighting services in the cities, for them to reach out the informal settlement, at some point it takes time, or there is no fire extinguishing services coming to the community. So they are saying, yes, and when we will be busy passing this law, then we need to also to provide for resources. And indeed, because when an act is enacted, there's what is called regulatory impact assessment. And then at the end, once the president signed this bill into law, we expect the department to come back to the portfolio committee to present an implementation plan that has to be funded. Because in terms of this act, we're imposing obligations to municipality, also extending it to traditional council. It means there must also be funding associated with that. Definitely there has to be funding, because of course the common issue that they are raising is lack of resources, lack of personnel. So these are the other things that even when the act becomes an act of parliament at the time when the president ascends it, then there has to be resources budgeted to support this. It means then the national department must be able to appropriate also funds to municipalities and then to tribal councils through COPTA, so that there's enough resources to implement the act.
There's also, through this, some of, when you look at the act, there's also the responsibilities of the minister, but also some of the residents not understanding whether, this bill will then, look at whether district level or provincial or national level and all of that. And there's been quite a number of people that also don't understand what this amendment, should it come into effect, what it means for them? Briefly tell us as we wrap up our conversation, for someone watching tonight and wondering what you and I are talking about. Let's give them a sense of how this will translate into, their lives on the ground.
Definitely, because the current act as it is, it regulates and manages veld fires by controlling their spread and by imposing the obligations on landowners to prepare and maintain fire breaks. But now, with the current amendments that we are currently enacting, we are now trying to put more responsibilities on landowners to make provision for the management of veld fires on their land. And also then, now we are making it compulsory for state organs, government entities to join fire protection association, because in the past it was just voluntary. You can choose. Now with this principal act, then once you are a state organ, you are managing state land or whatever land you are owning, you need to then join fire protection association. And in essence, when we are doing that, we are trying to protect the ordinary citizens. As you also know that fire can be a friend, fire can also be a foe. And then when people don't understand also the fire patterns, it then also creates fear and resistance to people. That's why it's important for our people to understand the role and benefits of fire and how fire risk can be managed in this regard.
And it definitely is an important conversation to have. I mean, one thinks of the fires that we've seen, devastating veld fires, runaway fires, at the same time, a building going up, on fire. Think of the Bank of Lisbon building and all of that. So let's see if this does translate into, action on the ground. Thank you so much for your time. Do appreciate it and hope we'll speak again, because this is a very important issue. That was Faith Muthambi, Chair of Parliament's Portfolio Committee on the Environment.